What's going on, guys? I'm about to go on a rant. And it is about, and if you're an athlete, watch this darn thing because it's not going to mean anything to you now, but it's going to, and I can promise you that. Just talk about the negative thing about sports, okay? Oh, but sports teaches discipline, sports teaches toughness, sports teaches teamwork, sports teaches communication, blah, blah, blah. The one thing I would say sports did for me that I'm most thankful for is communication, is being able to communicate with people, because that's carried on, with my family, friends, work, and then really my marital life, which has obviously been great for my marriage. But look, sports teaches you to be incredibly prideful, which the Bible warns against. It teaches us to be arrogant, which the Bible warns against. It teaches us to be selfish, which the Bible warns against. It teaches us to, it makes you think just the whole world is about you, blah, blah, blah. And I get that's an exaggeration, the whole world's about you, but it really does. It makes you look through glasses that are just about you. And I'm sorry to say, that's just the truth. And I felt like I grew up going to church, and I know about Jesus, and I did all these types of things, and I tried to be a good person, and I tried not to be arrogant, and I tried to do all these things, but it didn't matter. Even if people couldn't see it in the public, I was still dealing with that, like, on the inside. I had just met my wife. This is obviously like before we were married. And I just had and this was right when I finished playing sports, or really stopped playing sports. My whole sports deal is like a long story, but anyways, once I finished playing sports, I just got this bad temper, just with the shortest fuse. I think that my self-esteem was wavering. I don't know what it was, but it was bad. And I remember walking outside my apartment, going and sitting in my truck, sitting in this truck, and I called my grandma. And I was like, Grammy, I have met the most amazing person I've ever seen. And I'm about to ruin this whole relationship. I can marry her right now, but I'm going to ruin it. Because of I'm just losing it. And I'm the type of person to where I always try to work on myself. I feel like if you're somebody who's got a temper, and you've got a temper 5 years from now, and you're just oh yeah, I'm someone who's got a temper, you just haven't worked on yourself. I'm sorry. You need to talk to the Lord, pray about it, do some reading in the scriptures, but it's called sanctification. Each year, each day, you should be striving to be more and more like Jesus. If people meet you 10 years from now and you've got the same issues, you need to be spending time working on yourself. You need to freaking get off TikTok. You need to get off Facebook, Instagram, and actually make yourself better. Anyways, I said all that to say this. I'm always thinking why? So I would get mad for no reason, maybe jealousy, I don't know. I would get mad. And then I would think to myself, why am I so mad? And I couldn't think of a reason for why I was mad, which would then double my anger, because now I'm not only mad, I'm mad at being mad. It was nuts. As you can see, that's why I had to call my grandma or something. I was I don't know what's going on. It made me not somebody that I enjoyed. And I remember telling my wife, because she was just getting to know me, I was look, I really, I know you may have heard this before or something, I promise, I really do not have a temper like this. I do not know why I'm constantly getting so worked up, and I'm making a big deal out of nothing all the darn time. And luckily she, I don't know if she believed me or what, but she stayed with me, and we're obviously happily married now and stuff. But I remember what my grandma said. She was like, do you think you're intimidated by her? you see like how beautiful she is, and you see how sweet she is and like loving, and you're like intimidated by it, or you feel like you're not good enough for her. And that's like exactly what it was. And so just continuously like reading through the scriptures and praying and going to church and stuff, like those walls broke down, and my understanding and like view of the world shifted, and I don't know, I feel like my heart is a lot softer now. But anyways, I believe that all that negative stuff came from athletics, my involvement in it. I think a lot of my frustrations and stuff were taken out during sports, so I didn't see it a ton, and I think that I got a lot of pats on the back and stuff because of sports, and so kind of was feeding my ego. Even if I wasn't showing it on the outside, it was still doing that. And that still happens from time to time when people are like, hey, what are you doing now? Are you going to go play sports again? There's still like a little part of me that enjoys that, that I've got to be like, okay, please do not go try to play again. You don't want to do that. You're just doing that because your ego's wanting you to. But, no, I just think it does a lot of ugly and nasty things, and it makes everything a competition as well. You look at your neighbor and you're like, oh, I see my neighbor's got a boat. Do I have a boat? Oh, yeah, I've got a boat, but is my boat bigger than their boat? Oh, yeah, my boat's bigger than their boat, but oh, but what about the house? Is the house bigger? It turns you into an ugly person, and I mean on the inside. It just warps your whole way of thinking. You could be like going to a game and you see the other team's buses broke down and you speed past them, you probably honk, you're like, losers, you guys suck, blah, 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 and you're like going to the game. Number one, that's not Jesus-like. I can promise you that. Number two, let's say you're a mechanic and you could fix their bus in 2 seconds. You could stop, help them out, get their bus going, boom, you're going on. But no, that's not what sports teaches us. Sports teaches us that we need to be ahead, that we need to be the best in all these things. And you're like, okay, yeah, teamwork, whatever. You are not there to help your teammates succeed. You believe your teammates are there to help you succeed. You want to score more points than everybody else. You want to score all the touchdowns. You want to make all the tackles. Like, let's just be real. And it's also like a very rewarding system. Like, let's say you lift weights and you're like really focused on your biceps. Well, if you're really focused on your biceps and you're working them out the right way and you're eating the right amount of food, your biceps are going to grow, so you're going to get that reward. Or you're terrible at free throws in basketball, so you spend a lot of time practicing free throws, and then you become better at free throws. Well, look, the Lord's will be done. And maybe that involves you being a millionaire. Maybe that involves you not being a millionaire. And so it makes us like go to church and go to all these churches, all the churches that say, hey, you do this, the Lord will bless you 1,000 times over, and you can be rich and famous and have everything you ever wanted. Sorry, the Lord didn't promise that. He promised that his will would be done, not yours. But anyways, it makes us go to those churches and stuff, and the only reason that we're really Christians and everything is because we want the Lord to bend and do what we want him to. Like, oh, I haven't missed a Sunday service in a long time. I say some prayers at night, and my prayers, go like, hey, help my business be successful so I can be rich. Help this blow up so I can be famous. And it's all like, if I put in the work with the Lord spiritually, then he will repay me and give me what I want. That is not how our relationship with the Lord works. But I think here's the scary part. We were not made to be worshipped. The Lord is to be worshipped. We are not to be worshipped. So when we're playing in a stadium, this goes for like artists, musicians, athletes, and everything. When you're in a stadium, gymnasium, whatever, full of 80,000, 50,000, 30, 10, 5,000 people, that's like it gives you a form of worship, and it gives you this rush, it gives you this high. And people that stop playing sports that get into coaching, I don't think they go through this as much, because I think they still get that excitement and they still get that high when they run out there with the team, because they're still really involved with it and they're still feeling the energy. But a lot of people that step away get involved in like substance abuse, and I think that's so they don't have to think about what they're missing out on, or their drugs or whatever they're taking is giving them that high that they used to get from sports. And I feel like that's why, a lot of former athletes, that have played professional and stuff, if you're around them, I mean, you could have a string with you and tie it around them and walk down the street with them floating in the air because they are high as a kite. And I just think that happens a lot because you're like made to feel like you're really important, and kind of that the world revolves around you and all of these things, and then all of a sudden that disappears like that, and we don't know how to handle it. We don't know how to go from being worshipped to not being worshipped at all. I think it makes a lot of former athletes and people that were in the spotlight feel like they hit their peak when they were a lot younger, because people really cared about what they did, and people cheered them on and took pictures with them and wanted their autograph. And now, let's say they've got 60, 70 years to go, and now what? Now you are in an office or you run a small business, and I'm sorry, but like, people really don't care anymore. I played for a lot of coaches, and once I was done playing, not one coach called me and was like, hey, like, are you doing okay? Do you need anything? How are you feeling? Not one person reached out to me and said that. Now, if I had to coach, I mean, at the end of the day, it hasn't happened. And I understand that, because coaches have hundreds of players, and if they were trying to like babysit and help every single person, they couldn't focus on the next group of players. And I understand why they can't do it. But what I'm saying is, from an athlete standpoint, you've got all this support, all this help, all this praise, all of this stuff that's surrounded you since you've been playing sports, and it's gone overnight. Like overnight. Like, for example, like my college days. When I put up my helmet and cleats for the last time in college, I was done. I was not a part of that university anymore. I mean, the coaches are on to the next season. It's over. It's done. And it's weird because you like bleed and sweat, and I don't know, some people might cry for like their teams and stuff. And it's only a matter of like 60 minutes or so, however long your game lasts. And it's done. You're done. You're history. And the attempt to like pick up what you feel like is the pieces and put them back together into something as good as what you previously had is very difficult. And so if you are somebody really, really deeply involved in sports, or you are pushing your children to be deeply, deeply involved in sports, I would just be careful. My future kids, I'm sure they'll play sports, but I'm going to put it on a more like a hobby, and I couldn't care less if they do play sports or if they don't play sports, just because of stuff I've had to go through. But if you are someone in sports, or you're pushing your kid into making youth and making them think it's their whole life, I would just say be careful. Especially if you are one of those parents, because you're not going to see the repercussions right away. You'll get your kid through high school, and if they play college sports or professional, they'll be able to keep going in it. But the day that it ends is the most tough day. And when that happens for a lot of people, they're adults. For me, I was in my mid-20s whenever I was done playing, and I have my wife, but as far as like my parents and stuff, people don't really see what you're going through because you're out on your own now. You're an adult. You've been gone. Let's say you've already been to college and you've done all these things. So you're really out on your own, and you don't understand what you could have done possibly to your kid or whatever to make them feel like sports was their whole life, when now sports is nowhere to darn be found, and they are there picking up the pieces, wondering if they're important, or you're really, I'm sorry, but you're really to the point where you realize all those people in those stands were just cheering for their team, their emblem, their logo. That's what they were cheering for. They really weren't cheering for you, because 5 years from now, you could be living underneath a bridge somewhere, and those same fans, I'm not saying that they wouldn't help you, but they're just not going to know you're under that bridge. And they're going to keep showing up at that same stadium on Saturdays and Sundays, watching whoever's next, watching whoever's playing your position now, watching whoever's wearing your number now. And it just, life goes on. And that can be really hard to wrap your mind around as an athlete, and I'm sure like as a musician or whatever else is out there that does things similar. And it's just very difficult. So I caution you on really just pouring your whole self into sports, because it will come back to bite you. And I'm happy to say that over the last couple of years, the Lord's obviously blessed me, and He's been the one that's changed me. But just reading the Bible, praying and doing things like that has really changed me, has changed like my whole mindset, has softened my heart, and I think has made me a way better person. I feel a lot more compassion for people. I feel more sympathy for people. I feel more willing to help people. I feel more willing to just constantly be doing the right thing. I feel more comfortable with God's plan for my life, and if that is for me to live in a camper in the woods, then so be it. I know that I'm not living for today. The Lord has promised me eternity with Him in a world where there is no suffering and there is no pain. There is no sadness. There is none of these negative things. And that is what I look forward to. I look forward to eternity. I don't look forward to like this world. This is a fallen world. This is a sinful world. And I'm thankful for everything I have on this earth. But that is not where my hope lies. And so just understanding that, like, I get it. I get it. And if my plan in life is not for me to be just rich and famous and all of these things down here on earth, I'm 1000% fine with that. And honestly, it's probably better that I'm not, because I think that obviously can lead down a dark road. But I'm just thankful. I'm living in the moment. I've got a different perspective on life, and I feel like I've got a softer heart, honestly. And I know there's a lot of people out there that hurt every single year when they realize that their athletic career is over. And for me, here's the crazy thing. I continue to play sports and continue to pursue it because I felt like that's what I was supposed to do. I didn't even enjoy it that much. I was just like, well, everybody always asks me how sports is going. Well, that's all I've ever done my whole life. That's what everybody knows me for. I might as well just keep doing it. And like, I wasn't enjoying it. I felt like that's what I had to do, and so that's what I would do. But then when I got out of it, I was like, oh snap, what is there? What is there? And I think that can be a dangerous position to be in. And anyways, I would just tell you guys to pray about it, obviously, get in the scriptures, and pray that your heart doesn't turn hard and all these things, and the Lord continues to work in you and stuff. But yeah, if you're in sports, you can put your body to it. Do not put your heart and soul to it. And that goes the same for your kids. And anyways, that's just kind of my 2 cents on that whole deal, and it's not talked about very much. And I'm not trying to say, oh, it's mental health, you need antidepressants, you need a therapist, you need all these things. I'm not saying any of that, because at the end of the day, in my mind, we always need the Lord. I heard somebody say your vertical perspective dictates your horizontal perspective, and how you see the Lord and what your relationship is with the Lord is how you're kind of going to see the world around you. And that's why I got this channel called Bible Color Glasses, because those are the lenses in which we're trying to see the world.